Regent Bernstein's here on the phone.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
I'm Mark. How's everyone doing?
Great. Thanks, guys. We're hanging in there. Thanks for asking, everybody. I'll do my best to stay on as long as I can.
No problem.
Well, now we have 6 regents, President Schlissel.
We are live.
So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our virtual July Board of Regents meeting. I'd like to thank everyone for joining online as we work to protect the health and safety of everybody while continuing to operate the university. We're all remote today, so I'll call roll of all of the regents one by one so they can be noted for the record and for those not able to be seen on the screen. When I call your name, please indicate whether you're present. Regent Acker.
Good afternoon, President Schlissel. Sorry about that.
Thank you. No problem. Regent Beam. Regent Beam will be joining us a bit later, I believe. Regent Bernstein.
Present. Thank you.
Regent Brown.
Present.
Regent Diggs.
Present.
Regent Illich.
Present.
Regent Weiser.
Here.
And Regent White. I believe Regent White is off on assignment and she too may try to join us later. This is the first month of service as chair for Regent Illich and vice chair for Regent Acker. So also joining us today are all of the university's executive officers. This includes our new vice president for student life, Martino Harmon, who's here for his first board meeting after beginning July the 1st. Welcome, Vice President Harmon. Today, I'm submitting a supplemental item recommending the appointment of Susan M. Collins as Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs. The appointment would become effective today and run through June 30th, 2022. From the time of her appointment as acting provost in January and later as interim, she's provided inspired and steadfast leadership as the Chief Academic and Budgetary Officer for the university. I very much appreciate the leadership, insights, and stability she's provided to our institution during the unprecedented challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Her many years of experience as a distinguished academic leader and her expertise in public policy and financial systems make her ideally suited for this position of U of M Provost, especially during this difficult and pivotal time for our university. Earlier this week, Vice President for Government Relations, Cynthia Wilbanks, announced her plans to retire at the end of this calendar year. She's worked at the university for more than 25 years, including 22 in her current position. Cynthia has left an enduring imprint on the U of M, our state, and all of higher education. Her tireless work is grounded in a belief in higher education's ability to affect great positive change in our society, and her legacy ensures that U of M will continue to achieve ever greater relevance and impact. She's also helped to shape the future of Michigan itself, helping promote university efforts to restore leadership in manufacturing and technology, close the talent gap, and inspire civic engagement amongst new generations of our citizens. In my view, her vast knowledge of our state, its issues, history, people, and of course, those elected to serve, is unparalleled. Cynthia has always applied her keen understanding when advocating for our students, faculty, and staff in City Hall, in Lansing, in Congress, and at the White House. Most recently, she's coordinated the group of senior campus leaders working to preserve the university's ability to fulfill its mission in the setting of the COVID-19 pandemic. I join many members of our community in commending Cynthia's dedication to our university and its public mission. We'll have opportunities in the coming months to thank her, say farewell, and celebrate her service. She and I will collaborate to ensure a smooth transition, and we'll have more to share in the coming months about a process to identify new leadership. Cynthia, thank you.
Thank you.
The University of Michigan was ranked as the top U.S. public university in the 2021 QS World University Rankings. U of M has been the highest ranked U.S. public university since 2016. The rankings are based on 6 factors: academic reputation, employer reputation, student-faculty ratio, citations per faculty, proportion of international faculty, and proportion of international students. This ranking is a recognition of the talent and hard work of all members of the U of M community. We excel in all of the rankings criteria because of our shared commitment to excellence and public impact, which manifests in the work we do as students, faculty, and staff, as well as in the help we receive from our supporters and partners. As part of our extensive preparations for the coming months, we've developed a face covering policy for everyone at the University of Michigan. The research is clear that wearing a face covering is one of the most effective tools we have for preventing the spread of COVID-19 and saving lives. The University of Michigan requires all students, staff, faculty, and visitors to wear a face covering that covers the mouth and nose while anywhere on campus grounds. This includes when inside buildings, outdoors, and on U of M transportation on all of our campuses. It's difficult to maintain distance from groups even when outdoors on a busy university campus, and so face coverings outdoors will help slow the spread of the virus as well. The full policy is available on the Environmental Health and Safety website and includes a description of the limited exceptions to this rule. We know that COVID-19 is going to be with us for at least the next full academic year, and quite possibly even longer. To support the health of the university community during this pandemic, I'm establishing a COVID-19 Campus Health Response Committee. This committee will be responsible for the timely triage of information, coordinating key offices, and providing expert advice and recommendations to university leaders. Its members will design and implement public health and safety measures and policies, analyze data, and serve as our resource to our schools, colleges, and units. Our size and scope often makes one-size-fits-all solutions impractical, and this committee will help resolve questions from different campus areas. Leading the committee will be Rob Ernst, who I've appointed as Director of COVID-19 Campus Health Response. As the Associate Vice President for Student Life and Executive Director of the University Health Service on our Ann Arbor campus, Dr. Ernst has been at the forefront of our response to COVID-19 throughout. At the University of Michigan, we are proud to support our international students who choose to study on our 3 campuses and contribute to the intellectual and cultural abundance of our university and our society. We're pleased that the federal government has rescinded the policy shared earlier this month that would have further restricted educational opportunities for international students. U of M filed an amicus brief in support of Harvard and MIT's lawsuit against DHS, along with 58 other leading colleges and universities. This means that pending further information, we will return to the March 2020 guidance that facilitated remote learning for our international students, whether they remained in the US or left the country due to COVID-19. As we said in the amicus brief, international students are core members of our institutions. They make valuable contributions in our classrooms, campuses, and communities, contributions that have helped make American higher education the envy of the world. International students contribute to a diversity of thought, background, and experience that promotes learning outcomes and better prepares students for an increasingly diverse workforce and society. We strongly disagree with arbitrary restrictions on international students that might force them to risk their health in order to continue their studies. I will again say that such patterns of exclusion are antithetical to our view that we are strengthened as a university, a nation, and an economy when top minds from all parts of the world choose to study and work with us. I'm now pleased to recognize the faculty members who have been selected for the Henry Russell Lectureship and the Henry Russell Awards. The honorees are included as an information item on today's agenda. These faculty members stand out amongst their peers in scholarly research or creative activity and in teaching. The Henry Russell Lecturer for 2020 will be Susan A. Gelman, the Heinz Werner Distinguished University Professor in Psychology and Linguistics. The Henry Russell Lectureship is the highest honor that the university bestows upon a senior member of its faculty. The faculty members selected to receive a Henry Russell Award are Jose Casas, Assistant Professor of Theater and Sociology, Aaron A. Check, Assistant Professor of Sociology, Matthew A. Davis, Associate Professor of Nursing and of Learning Health Sciences, and Johanna L. Matthew, Assistant Professor of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. I thank the faculty honorees for their dedication to their scholarship and their teaching, and also the Russell Awards Faculty Advisory Committee for their work to select such outstanding award recipients. Today, we're recommending 4 faculty members to receive one of U of M's top honors as distinguished university professors. The Board of Regents created the Distinguished University Professorships in 1947 to recognize members of the faculty for exceptional achievement and reputation in their disciplines and for superior teaching skills. The recipients are Arthur Skip Lupia, Professor of Political Science, Anne-Marie Sullivan, Polonskar Professor of Education, Lutgard M. Raskin, Professor of Environmental Engineering, and Donald R. Zak, Professor of Ecology. Congratulations to our newest distinguished university professors. The University Diversity and Social Transformation Professorships recognize faculty for outstanding contributions to excellence through their commitments to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. These professorships are an extension of the public mission of our university and, like our other top awards, are reserved for only the highest levels of achievement. Receiving the 2020 University Diversity and Social Transformation Professorships are Vincent L. Hutchings, Professor of Political Science and of Afro-American and African Studies, Amy J. Schultz, Professor of Health Behavior and Health Education, Daphne C. Watkins, Professor of Social Work, and Camille M. Wilson, Professor of Education. Thank you, Diversity and Social Transformation professors, for your outstanding contributions to our university and to our world. I congratulate the 92 University of Michigan student athletes who earned Distinguished Scholars honors from the Big Ten Conference earlier this month. The list includes student athletes with a grade point average of 3.7 or higher during the past academic year. This is the 4th consecutive year with more than 70 honorees, and these are the 4 highest marks in our university's history. This honor is a testament to the amazing talents of our student athletes, along with the commitment to academic achievement that's a hallmark of the entire University of Michigan Athletics Department. Normally this month, our meeting takes place as the Ann Arbor Art Fair is getting underway. I very much look forward to the day when our community can fully resume the activities that enrich our lives and make Michigan's cities and towns such wonderful places to live. Our next meeting will be in September, And in the meantime, I wish everyone a happy and safe and healthy summer. I'd now like to turn things over to Vice President for Research, Rebecca Cunningham, to deliver a research update. Vice President Cunningham.
Thank you, President Schlissel. It's an honor to speak today about the research enterprise. For 9 consecutive years, the University of Michigan has ranked #1 in research volume among the public universities across the US. If I could pause to see the slides, there we go, thank you. Next slide, please. This achievement is truly a testament to our exceptional faculty, staff, and students, as well as our strong partnership with government and industry. Our team in the Office of the Vice President for Research works closely with these internal and external partners to catalyze, support, and safeguard U of M research. Next slide, please. We take great pride in the fact that U of M consistently ranks first in research volume among public universities. The National Science Foundation released its Higher Education Research and Development Survey each year, and this graph highlights the research volume across leading US universities, both public and private. Johns Hopkins University, which is private, consistently ranks first overall in research volume, and we rank overall first as a public. Next slide, please. The chart above shows that university research expenditures through May of this year, and I'm pleased to announce that even with the global pandemic, U of M remains 1% up on last year's record volume pace. You'll notice a slight decrease in our research expenditures in recent months in the last yellow bars, which can be attributed to the fact that U of M paused all non-critical laboratory research in mid-March to protect its employees' health and safety. Next slide, please. The federal government is a critical partner and plays an important role in U of M research endeavors, supporting 54% of the university's research volume during the fiscal year 2019. Federal research expenditures last year totaled $888 million, which led to advancements in fields ranging from Great Lakes sustainability and driverless vehicle technologies to opioid overdose prevention and chronic disease prevention. It's important to note that NIH remains the largest external sponsor of U of M research, and during fiscal year 2019, the university conducted $572 million in research under contract with the NIH. Next slide, please. Research occurs throughout our units across our schools and units across the university. This chart above breaks down how some U of M schools, colleges, and schools contributed during fiscal year 2019 as it relates to research expenditures. As you can see, the medical school, College of Engineering, LS&A, and ISR are some of the largest contributors to research expenditures across U of M units. Next slide, please. Research investment also translates into the creation of new products and services. And during fiscal year 2019, U of M reported a record number of new inventions and a record number of startups, 22 startups and 502 new inventions. Those startups, many of which operate in Southeast Michigan, span sectors ranging from computer hardware and therapeutics to medical devices and materials science. This fall, we anticipate our Office of Technology Transfer will report yet another record year for new inventions and startups based on U of M research by our faculty, staff, and students. Next slide, please. Ongoing research investment at U of M has also had a positive ripple effect on the economy, which drives global competitiveness and spurs new jobs both here in Michigan and across the nation. Between 2002 and 2019, U of M contributed $5.6 billion to the national economy through vendor contracts and subcontracts related to research. And about 16,000 U of M employees are supported by research grants each year. Next slide, please. We are in the midst of a global pandemic. The university has embraced this vision of serving the world through research and scholarship, and our 3 campuses have fully embraced that vision throughout this pandemic. Our U of M community has authored or co-authored over 400 COVID-related research publications just in the last few months. They have launched over 320 COVID-related research projects, and I'm excited to say now that more than 7,000 researchers have resumed some on-campus activity as part of the university's strategic process to safely re-engage research and scholarship as a critical part of our mission. Next slide, please. Moving forward in the coming year, we will continue to focus on catalyzing new and innovative research while expanding our partnerships beyond U of M, enhancing our commitment to ethical research and compliance, and strengthening our DEI efforts around research and the research pipeline. Thank you for your time today and for the support of our research mission, a critical part of our enterprise. Thank you, President Schlissel.
Thank you, Vice President Cunningham. Questions or comments for Vice President Cunningham? Very good, thank you. We now move on for committee reports. Two of our committees met today. First, I'll call upon Regent Diggs for the Health Affairs Committee report. Regent Diggs.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, just grabbing my notes. So the Health Affairs Committee met this morning with Regent Jordan Acker and myself and our Michigan Medicine team. We had an update on Metro Health, an update on the plans for potential COVID surge, and got an update on our financials from our CFO. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Diggs. I believe that Regent Brown was going to deliver the report from the Committee on Flint and Dearborn in Regent Beam's temporary absence.
Correct. Thank you, President Schlissel. Earlier today, we met as a committee with the Chancellors Grasso and Dutta. President Schlissel joined the discussion. We discussed a variety of ways to support student success with funding provided by the President at the last board meeting, some potential organizational changes at each campus in the months ahead, and the work of the committee in the coming academic year. And we look forward to continuing to grow on the success of both of those campuses and the relatively new chancellors at each.
Thank you very much, Regent Brown. We now move on to the regular business agenda. First, the consent agenda. Minutes and reports are available on the website. Other reports from the senior leadership team will begin first with Chancellor Grasso.
President Schlissel. We continue diligently to plan for the fall semester. As a critical part of our planning, we are communicating with our campus community, and as a critical part of this is the conducting of town halls in an effort to be transparent and inclusive. Most recently, we held a faculty and staff town hall on June 25th to talk about our budget that was recently passed by the Board of Regents and was attended by almost 400 individuals. And yesterday we had a town hall meeting with students that was attended by almost 200 students in an effort to help guide them through what they can expect in the fall semester. It is also, finally, just one more item. It is with mixed emotion that I share that Jeff Evans, Vice Chancellor for Business Affairs, has decided to step down from his position to pursue an opportunity as Chief Finance Officer and Strategist at a firm outside the university. Jeff's last day will be July 24th. Jeff came to the university in 2003 and accomplished much during his tenure. Prior to being promoted to Vice Chancellor, he served as Director of Human Resources for 9 years. Jeff has assembled and led talented and effective teams in the areas of facilities operations, financial services, human resources, and in recent years, he has led public safety and university events. He has made an enormous and positive difference for U of M Dearborn. He has also been a valued member of my leadership team and has helped guide many decisions critical to our success, especially as we navigated through the recent COVID-19 pandemic. Talented leaders often attract attention from others, And so this transition is for Jeff is not surprising. I know that everyone shares in my happiness and good wishes for Jeff and his new role, but also a sense of regret in having to bid farewell to a colleague who has been such a valued member of our community. And that concludes my remarks, President Schlissel.
Thank you, Chancellor Grasso. Chancellor Dutta?
Thank you, President Sechel. The summer of 2020 will be remembered for being very unusual, yet productive, and a time of significant change on all our campuses. Happy to provide a very brief campus update. I thank the board for considering Margaret Andrews, the founding dean of our School of Nursing, for Professor Emerita of Nursing, and Keith Moreland, most recently the interim provost, as Professor Emeritus of Accounting. Both have served U of M Flint with distinction for many years. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize Robert Hobeck, the Director of Francis Wilson Thompson Library at U of M Flint. He will retire at the end of this month after more than 30 years of service, both to Flint and Ann Arbor campuses. Bob is a true Michigan man, received all 3 of his degrees from U of M, and he too served our campus with much distinction. On updates, very good progress has been made by the U of M Flint DEI committee, and their first draft of an strategic action plan for U of M Flint will be released tomorrow for public comments. I also want to mention that the Shared Governance Task Force has been working past 2 months, and they too have released their first draft for the comment of the faculty. Thanks to all the committee members. As you know, cost reduction is necessary to deal with the difficult financial situation all of us find ourselves in, but it is incumbent upon us to think deeply and creatively about developing new sources of revenues that are sustainable. An ad hoc revenue generation committee on our campus, chaired by Vice Chancellor Christy Hartenstein, has been hard at work this summer. They are developing ideas for new sources of revenue from all campus sector. I look forward to receiving their report and releasing it to campus. Let me finally end with some very good news about enrollment. And this summer, we broke a decade-long streak of summer enrollment decline at U of M Flint. For the 2020 summer semester, the number of students enrolled at U of M Flint is up almost 12% over last summer. And the credit hours are up almost 20%. Retention of fall 19 to summer is also up from last year, both for the full-time FIDIAC students as well as for the transfer students. This reversal of a very troubling trend is very good news for our campus and is the direct result of many staff and many faculty who have worked diligently on enrollment and retention. I thank them all, and I hope this trend continues throughout the academic year. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Dutta. Student government reports. Last week, we were saddened to learn of the shooting death of DeAndre Watson in Westland. DeAndre graduated from U of M in 2012 and served as CSG president. He worked in the office of Detroit City Councilman James Tate as a policy analyst. Our condolences to the family and to his many friends. CSG President Amanda Kaplan will now give her report. Amanda?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Kaplan, and I am the student body president. I'm excited to get to address you all formally for the first time, so thank you so much for letting me speak today. I was elected in March alongside my Vice President, Saveri Nandigama, who is my best friend and partner in all of this work. And since then, certainly a lot has changed in the world. We've had the privilege of meeting with several of you, and Saveri and I first want to offer ourselves up to meet with anyone to provide a student perspective on any decision or policy consideration. We would equally like to offer ourselves up to connect you to other students in Central Student Government, in other student organizations, or any other student advocacy group on campus doing important work. I also wanted to give a brief update as to what Severi and I have been working on this summer and in response to a lot of different national and campus events. In response to COVID-19, we have been involved in fall planning decisions, worked on the university's Culture of Care campaign, and are currently helping to craft a COVID addendum to the Statement of Student Rights. We have also formed a committee consisting of major stakeholders of students, specifically communities of color, onto how forthcoming safety enforcement measures will impact student communities. In response to horrible incidents of police brutality and resulting Black Lives Matter protests, we have created a Google Drive filled with anti-racism resources for students and student organizations that will go out to all authorized signers this month. We are also working to coordinate a town hall hosted by NAACP and BSU with Eddie Washington around policing on campus, and specifically policing on campus this fall. In response to new federal Title IX regulations, we have met with SAPAC and are hoping to work with communities of color to identify their needs and respond to their concerns surrounding university reporting systems. In response to the debate being canceled, we have decided to launch a university-wide and in coordination with Dearborn and Flint campuses, student-led civic engagement campaign for student organizations to encourage vote by mail, absentee voting, and more. While we are excited about all of these projects, we know that these past few months have been extraordinarily hard for students. Students really want to feel heard, and they were especially disappointed about the tuition increase and the lack of student representation in this process. We are hoping as CSG to host a town hall to connect students to relevant administrators regarding all that has happened this summer and all that will continue to happen in the fall. I hope that some of you will consider attending to listen to student concerns and answer any questions that they may have. Finally, I want you all to know that I thank you so much for all the work that you are doing. Even in just a short couple of months, Severi and I know that this is a really thankless job, but we are super excited to work with all of you this year to continue to serve students and our campus community. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Amanda. We move forward. Personnel actions and personnel reports are in the materials, as are a number of retirement memoirs. I now call for a vote on the consent agenda, including the supplemental personnel item mentioned in my opening remarks. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I heard a motion and a second. I'm going to have to call this as a roll because of our telepresence. Regent Acker?
Yes.
Regent Beam? We're still awaiting Regent Beam. Regent Bernstein?
Yes.
Regent Brown?
Yes.
Regent Diggs?
Yes.
Regent Illich?
Yes.
Regent Weiser? Regent Weiser? I see him and I can't hear him.
He's muted, Mark.
Yes, I know.
I'm unmuted now. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And then I believe, is Regent White on the line? Okay, so I believe the consent agenda carries 6 votes, right, Sally?
You actually, yes, it passes with a simple majority, but yes, it did pass.
Thank you. We now move on to the regular agenda. There are 2 items for information, but then we move on to the conflict of interest agenda. And Sally, I believe we only have 6 voting regents right now. Is that correct? I believe we're missing Kathy as well as Mike Beam are off the line right now.
That is correct. So we have
Okay.
6 voting regents at the moment.
Very good. So items 3 through 12 are conflict of interest items, but each of which requires 6 votes for approval. The regents have carefully reviewed all these items and will consider them together as a block, except for item number 6. So we're going to consider items 3, 4, 5, and then 7 through 12. There was a conflict on item number 6, so we're not going to vote on item 6. So the regents have carefully reviewed these items. We'll consider them together in one vote. unless any additional regent requests individual consideration of or recusal from voting on a particular item. Does anyone have any questions on a particular item? Would any regents like to request recusal from voting on any items of 3 through 5 and 7 through 12? I now call for a vote. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. And a quick roll call. Regent Acker?
Yes.
Beam? Regent Bernstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Regent Brown?
Yes.
Regent Diggs?
Yes.
Regent Illich?
Yes.
Regent Weiser?
Yes.
And Regent White, I believe, is not here. So those are 6 votes for that part of the agenda, Sally. And I think we'll have to postpone item number 6, I believe, either until later in the meeting if Regent Beam or White joins us, because we wouldn't have the 6 required votes. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mark,
I hear that
Mark,
Regent Beam is trying to join.
This is Mike Beam. I'm on.
Oh, that's wonderful, Mike Beam. So let me ask the regents to take a look at item number 6 on the conflicts agenda. Each requires 6 votes for approval. Regent Brown has recused himself from consideration of this item, but we do have 6 regents on the line to go ahead and vote. Can I ask for a motion on item number 6?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Second.
Thank you very much. And now I'll read the roll very quickly. Regent Acker?
Yes.
Regent Beam?
Yes.
Regent Bernstein?
Yes.
Regent Brown is recusing himself. Regent Diggs?
Yes.
Regent Illich?
Yes.
Regent Weiser?
Yes.
And I believe Regent White is not with us at the moment. So this is very good. Thank you very much for your help with the conflicts agenda. Now moving on, the Russell Awards were mentioned during my opening remarks. There is an item number 3 under other. There's a new graduate degree program in the Ross School of Business. It's in the book. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Is anybody opposed? Thank you very much. And finally, there's a motion on a Regents ordinance revision. A minor revision to the Regent ordinance also was provided to you in advance. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Support.
Thank you. Is anyone opposed to this motion? Alrighty, that motion carries. Thank you all for your help, and I'll turn things over to Vice President Churchill for the public comment section of our meeting. Vice President Churchill.
Thank you, President Schlissel and Regents. Before our speakers are unmuted and have a chance to address the board, I do like to remind the speakers that you have up to 3 minutes to address the board. Topics often require study and analysis, so the president and regents will not necessarily respond to your comments today at today's meeting. So I will now start with our first speaker, who is Margaret Cohn. So our moderator may unmute Margaret.
My name is Margaret Cohn. I'm an alumnus, class of 1979. Inspired by President Obama's call for better relations between the United States and the Middle East, I approached U of M about setting up an exchange program. My full written statement goes into more detail, but in sum, U of M officials, Mark Tesler and Sherman Jackson, agreed on behalf of U of M's International Institute to administer the program. In fall 2009, they agreed to the financial terms laid out by the UAE. Without telling me or any of the other partners in this program, Tesler and Jackson moved the project to CPS at ISR, and we wrote the budget. $650,000 intended for cultural understanding went into their own pockets. Add to that another $500,000 budgeted to CPS, which they controlled. When I tried to exercise proper oversight and accountability over their spending, they ignored my calls and my emails. They then tried to demean me by labeling me difficult. When I persisted, they decided, in their words, they needed to tame and domesticate me. Let me repeat that. When I persisted, they decided they needed to tame and domesticate me. Let that sink in for a moment. Not exactly conduct expected of tenured faculty at U of M. In April, I learned Kessler and Jackson had lied to me, to U of M, and to the UAE. They never intended to be in Ann Arbor during the time of the program. On my own, I contacted Jerry May, only to learn no one from U of M knew about the UAE funds. The program was not even on U of M official schedule of events, and it was not a U of M project. That evening, Kessler and Jackson abandoned the program, literally leaving visitors from the Middle East without a roof over their heads. To protect U of M's reputation and keep faith with these young people, I personally funded basic program needs myself. Despite backing out, Kessler and Jackson paid themselves out of the UAE funds through discretionary accounts. I have spent years seeking accountability for these men and have been stonewalled at every turn. U of M failed to take action and therefore is complicit in their misogyny, financial fraud, and ruining an important humanitarian project. Several of you recently ran for seats vowing to end financial improprieties at U of M. I ask you to live up to this commitment. Please don't turn a blind eye to Kessler and Jackson's disgraceful conduct, all done in the name of our great U of M. As U of M's foremost governing body, I'm asking you to recommend U of M fully investigate these matters. In finding the record I've stated is accurate, and you will, I ask for accountability, including a public apology and restitution. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Spyros Kassapis.
Hello, my name is Spyros Kassapis, and this is my second year as a PhD student at the College of Engineering. Along with my involvement in numerous university advisory committees, I am a member of the CSG, the YDSA, and GEO. The very first thing I want to do is thank you for giving me and the rest of the students time to express our concerns. It is very unfortunate and ironic that the way today's public comment setup really portrays how you deal with the students you supposedly serve. You give us a strictly timed 3-minute space separate to your conversation and decisions without even letting us use our camera, making clear that you don't want us to be on the same table with you, creating the illusion that our voices are being heard. Throughout my involvement in all the aforementioned groups, I have come to realize that you, the university administration, is not taking in consideration the students' opinion and voices. And I'm here today to express this complaint that most students have: the absence of student representation on the Board of Regents. I am too one of the students that have been lately organizing. Many of the students you are going to listen today, like me, RJ, Zach, Labiba, Veri, and others, are members of more than 20 different campus organizations. Before I get more specific demands, I need to give a brief timeline of events that led to such a big group of students the past couple of weeks unite and take action. On Monday, June 29th, 2020, you called a special Regents meeting to vote on the increase on the university tuition. Not a single student representative was allowed to vote, discuss, or comment during the meeting, in which a decision was made to approve all proposals that would directly impact all students, both graduate and undergraduate. This is not the first time that you have suppressed students' voices, acting undemocratically and blatantly disregarding our needs. Last year, after a series of well-attended rallies, student climate activists were arrested for protesting the administration's decision to invest $1 billion on oil and gas. CSD's statements, petitions, resolutions which gathered thousands of signatures in just a couple of days, are being ignored. GEO's requests for a better pay are being turned down, but you, President Cecil, still got a generous 3.5 salary increase a couple of years ago. It seems to me and to many students that the university is being run as a for-profit private corporation rather than an educational institution. And how would it not be when all the big decisions such as advisory proposals are being decided by affluent middle-aged career politicians? Regardless of whether students or community members agree or not with the affirmation decisions you've made, there is a sincere truth. Students should have a say on decisions that directly affect them. I am a big advocate and believer of the slogan, nothing about us without us. You are clearly deciding a lot about us without us. And we, the members of the coalition we have created, are willing to work hard to change this, with or without your help. In short, among the many things we demand is clear student representation and vote on the Board of Regents, like it happens in many schools in the United States, for example, the University of California. Many of our student members, including me, ask you to nullify the tuition increase, which you voted behind closed doors. From now on, you should expect to hear a lot from us. My limited time is up, but we are done waiting.
Thank you. Regent Brown has a comment. Regent Brown?
Yes, thanks for your words. I won't respond to most of them. You're right, I am a middle-aged man, but I'm definitely not a career politician. And I don't have time to respond to most of the other parts of your comments. I will say that I think it's a great idea to have student representation on the board. And it's actually membership on the board is described in the state of Michigan's Constitution. And so the board itself does not have the ability to designate members or what groups they're from. But the Constitution does not prohibit a student from running for the Board of Regents. So I just wanted to make sure you and everyone else observing the meeting understood that process.
Thank you, Regent Brown. Back to Vice President Churchill, please.
Thank you. Yes, our next speaker is Sarah Jane Bork. Is she on the line?
She is not, Sally.
She is not. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Then Jarima Singh Panwar.
Hi, my name is Garima Pawar, and I'm second year PhD student in Romance Language and Literature. I'm also part of GEO's COVID Caucus and International GSI. So I would like to take this opportunity to talk about ICE, international students, and the university. Although ICE guidance of July 6 has since been rescinded, it provoked widespread panic within the international student community. It upended lives, asking students to choose between their education and their health, with the explicit intention of forcibly reopening schools and endangering more lives. It is vital to underscore that although the current guidance no longer holds, this has done little to improve the circumstances of incoming international students and visa holders, and also other student workers outside the USA, students subjected to travel ban, and many other immigrants and undocumented people fighting for justice here and abroad. The revoked policy to failure to clarify the status of incoming students make worse our precariousness that we as international community already felt. For those abroad, it is unclear whether and when they'll be able to obtain student status and begin their degrees. For those in the country already on other jobs and other visas, there is no clear avenue for adjusting visa statuses while in the US. Significant number of international students still have no respite. International students' problem arising from xenophobia and discrimination did not start with the recent ICE ruling, and they, of course, in any way are not going to end with this reversal. Many international students are in dire financial situation due to COVID situation and face great uncertainties regarding travel and employment. Meanwhile, let me remind you, this is the time that University of Michigan decided to raise house rents in university housing and disregarded our 1,800 signature letter that we as students demanded for our COVID respite. We note that universities who suddenly were at the forefront to fight for us against ICE order are the same ones who have been ignoring our issues for years. Coincidentally, they decided to take care for us when their own tuition income are at stake.
So my question, I would like to take this opportunity to ask, what is University of Michigan doing to ensure a safe environment for not only international students, but also for its DACA students who are in more precarious conditions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Ryan Glauser.
Yes. Hello, my name is Ryan Glosser, and I'm a PhD student in the Department of History. I want to express my sincere concerns about UM's testing capacities the fall semester looms over us. The state of Michigan is currently deciding whether the state needs to begin reinstating restrictions due to a recent upswing in COVID-19. Today, the state reported 891 new positive cases, which is part of a general upward trend since July 1st, culminating in 7,327 new positive cases, roughly 4,000 of which occurred since Monday. In Washtenaw County, there have been 260 positive cases since July 1st, with an increase of 102 cases over the last 5 days. In addition to a general uptick, UM facilities were tested over the last month as 20 people came into direct contact with a lab-confirmed case of COVID-19. The CDC and UHS guidelines, as well as the EHS testing protocol for employees and staff recommends all people who come into direct contact with a positive case of COVID-19 to be tested, no questions asked. Instead of following these public health informed guidelines, UHS tested only 4 of the 20 people in 4 days. The remaining people had to pay out of pocket and go to CVS, Urgent Care, and Rite Aid because UHS told them to quarantine rather than following the advice of public health officials. I was lucky to get a test on the day that I called. When I arrived at UHS, it became painfully obvious that they were not prepared for mass testing. There were only 2 rooms for COVID tests and 2 nurses on duty, one of whom was administering tests to athletes behind the UHS building. I want to stress that UHS is not at fault for the shortcoming, as they are working with the resources given to them by the UM administration. Blame lies at the feet of the people in this meeting. Austerity has led to UHS being understaffed, underfunded, and unprepared for a pandemic. However, we're at a point where we can fix this mistake before a more calamitous one occurs when about 50,000 faculty, students, and staff return to campus over the next month. For starters, UM must increase UHS's testing capacity to be able to test the entire UM community within a week. Anything less than that puts the entire UM community at risk. You all have a chance to truly honor your commitment of being a people's business. Falling short on testing will lead to excess deaths. Thank you.
I just have a quick question.
Regent Illich, yeah.
Thank you, President Schlissel. Can you just, I might have missed it, so I apologize ahead of time. Can you indicate when you were tested? What was the date?
Give me one moment to look back in my records. I was tested on the June 30th, and I came into contact with the person June 25th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to proceed then, unless there's any other comments, with Veronica Williamson.
Hello, my name is Veronica Williamson, and I'm a third-year PhD student. I'm speaking to express my concerns about the fall semester and the particularly difficult position that grad parents and caregivers are in. Since the physical closure of the university, Rackham and individual departments have repeatedly told graduate students to continue their work as planned, without indication that graduate students will be able to access an additional semester or year of funding. At the same time, licensed care centers, after-school care programs, and licensed summer camps have been closed either temporarily or into the fall. This essentially halts the financial aid child care subsidy program, which currently requires verification of licensed care. Thus, for the past 4 months and into the future, parents have been asked to work full-time and care for children full-time with no institutional support. Earlier this month, a group of parents and caregivers sent a letter to university leadership that requests the university take 2 basic actions. First, expand the otherwise restricted parameters for child care subsidy use, and second, expand the emergency grants to include child care expenses for children who do not currently fall under the university's standard subsidy. It is crucial to end the requirement that the subsidy be used for child care facilities licensed by the state of Michigan, as many facilities have closed and many grad students remain stuck outside of Michigan and the country. Importantly, an adjustment to the child care subsidy allowing non-licensed care requires very little additional administrative burden. This time is especially precarious for single student parents and caregivers, international student caregivers, as well as caregivers with immunocompromised household members. The Family Support Grant is crucial to helping bridge inequalities that result due to the excessive demands being placed on these students. In addition, if the university aims towards greater racial and social justice, implementing a Family Support Grant is one very small step you can take in that direction. With my remaining time, I want to read a testimonial from a peer doctoral student. Quote, "My partner, who is also a UM PhD candidate, and I were set to return to Ann Arbor from Europe when countries around the world started closing their borders. At the same time, the current US administration had canceled all green card interviews, halting our immigration process. What this means for us is that 1, we are unable to return to the US, and 2, are stuck in a place where we have limited social networks. On top of this, we have a baby and have been unable to access childcare for most of this time, and therefore unable to make good progress towards our degree. The expansion of the child care subsidy beyond licensed care facilities in Michigan is absolutely essential. Without this, I do not understand how there can be any meaningful semester that includes graduate students on an equitable basis. The current plans for a public health informed semester reinforce and magnify pre-existing structural inequalities and should be unacceptable to the university." End quote. Thank you.
Thank you. I mute myself so I don't make noise. Okay, our next speaker is Zachariah Farah.
Hello, my name is Zachariah Farah. I'm a third-year undergraduate student, German, and I'm a member of the LSA student government, and I'm working with other students, including Spiros, who already spoke, to organize in light of your recent decisions. I first want to respond. You know full well that it's not realistic to run for the board. It's an 8-year, enormous amount of money for children. I remember Regent Bernstein ran in 2012. He rented a bus to campaign across the entire state of Michigan. Could a student really do that? It's not. I'm a facilitator with the English Language Institute on campus, and every week I hold a conversation hour with international students to try to get them acclimated to life on campus. I can say they do not feel welcome on campus right now. They feel like they're being scammed and that they're valued, nor many of the families are using their life savings to put their children through college and give them a better future. And now, most of their asked to pay $1,000 more for a lower quality education. Regent Illich calls these tuition increases tone deaf, and I completely agree with those statements. He was a national student, and he came to the country.
Oh boy. Well, we cannot hear you. Can you speak closer to your phone or move or do something so we can hear the rest of your comments? Because Zachariah, they're difficult to hear right now.
You hear me now?
It's a lot better.
Hello.
Yeah, it's been really cutting in and out. So you can continue.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you. So my father is a first-generation immigrant, and he came to this country from Morocco, from North Africa, to find a better life. His family used their savings to give him that education, and it was because college was much more affordable back then. And it's because of that that I am here today. This decision will have a negative impact on our values of diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus. Now, I'm very disappointed in the lack of transparency of this body, not allow for public comment at your last meeting, violating the open meeting act, which every other kind of must follow. I highly support an amendment to your bylaws requiring the Board of Regents to hold public comment at all formal sessions. It's clear that the budget shortfall.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out again. We have a poor connection.
The health system. And
Mr. Fair, we can't hear you now.
you know, something really quickly. you can't hear me right now because I'm using the prepaid SIM because quite frankly, I was strapped for cash when I came back after my father lost his job. And you're asking us to pay more money for education in order to build a healthcare system. It's not fair. Because of the technological issues, I'll end my statement there. So thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry for the technology issues.
Vice President Churchill, sir, can you give us a printed version of your comments? Just email them to Vice President Churchill or Ryan Patrick, and they'll distribute them to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like.
Churchill, can I make a quick comment, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Zachariah, thank you for your comments. It was hard to hear you, obviously, but I did want to make one quick comment, and that I entirely agree with you when it comes to having public comment at our formal meetings. I think even if we are not required to under the Open Meetings Act, we absolutely should make time for public comment at all public meetings moving forward. Thank you.
Regent Illich?
I just want to concur with Regent Acker, since we are going to be, or we are chair and vice chair, we're going to work very hard at making sure that there are always public comments at our meetings. It was not right to not have public comment at that last meeting. I'm as disappointed as you are, and we hope to not see that happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Churchill?
Yep, our next speaker is RJ Battis.
Thank you, Vice President Churchill. Good afternoon. My name is RJ Battis, an incoming second-year master's student in Ann Arbor and the Vice President for the Rackham Student Government. I wanted to express my dismay about the Board of Regents' decision to increase tuition for the upcoming academic year, in spite of the pandemic that has brought so much distress and uncertainty to everyone. The Board of Regents' decision to do so highlights the extreme disconnect between students and the administration. Oftentimes, we are being asked for our concerns and opinions. However, all of this have been very symbolic. Close to none of our concerns and requests regarding fall opening have been heard. It is even more heartbreaking that the administration have added insult to injury by slapping students with an additional $50 COVID fee. On top of that, like many have mentioned earlier, the blatant exclusion of public comments during the last special Board of Regents meeting shows that you do not want to hear from your constituents. If that's the case, I believe that those who willingly agreed to exclude the public comments during the special meeting should not have any business in being elected officials or even public servants at all. That was a complete disservice to your constituents. Moreover, there has been a lot of changes this past few weeks that directly affect our international students. I specifically asked the Board of Regents to rescind the introduction of an abusive international student fee and show material and not symbolic. I repeat, show material and not symbolic support both to incoming and current international students. Students, faculty, and other organizations should not be out there picketing for tuition and expressing concerns about safely reopening this fall. Our priority right now should be our well-being during this pandemic. However, because of the Board of Regents' continuous blatant suppression of student voice, here we are. I know this 3 minutes may not change your opinion on the matter, but I do hope that at the least it would plant a seed of conscience and make you realize the importance of listening to the people that you are here to serve. Thank you, and I yield my time.
Thank you. Our next speaker may or may not be here. That's Felix Zamora Gomez. I don't believe
he's not here.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is Emily Furham.
Good afternoon, and thank you for taking my call. My name is Emily Furham, and I'm an associate professor of linguistics and the director of the Bridge program at the University of Michigan Flint. So first, I'd like to thank the Regents for their support of the Flint and Dearborn campuses, particularly with the 2021 budget and the aid of the $20 million. This funding is a good start in building the kind of investment that the Flint and Dearborn campuses need so that we can provide the most equitable education for our students. I'd also like to thank Chancellor Dutta for his support of our students and his attention to the ideas raised here today. As a faculty member, I regularly interact with students in my classes and in the student organizations that I advise. And so I'm often the first line to hearing about the kinds of stressors and barriers our students are experiencing. I know when a student doesn't come to class or is in danger of failing, and I hear about the daily struggles that my students have to overcome to do well in class. So professional advisors are an important touch point for students as well, particularly those who are experiencing barriers. And Chancellor Dutta has shown his willingness to support student success and retention through investing in advisors. This is an evidence-based decision that supports efforts we at Flint have already seen work in retaining students and helping them graduate. So I commend these efforts and believe that the Flint campus will continue to see positive results from the work that we've been doing with advising. Having already buttressed these programs, I also hope that Chancellor Dutta will consult with faculty as well as students and staff in determining what other programs to invest in with this newly available fund. Whether there's an ad hoc committee or some other measure for ensuring transparency in the decision-making process, having input from a wide range of stakeholders across the campus will be useful in identifying solutions to the barriers to student success that exist for our students. My colleagues and I have already been thinking about this funding. With it, we have the opportunity to expand scholarship access to our students, like the Go Blue Guarantee, or scholarships for middle-income students, or scholarships for caretakers to help offset the cost of child or elder care, some of the issues that we've already heard raised from other students at the University of Michigan. We can also use this funding to offset the COVID-19 enrollment and curricular losses. We've experienced crippling budget cuts that have affected our programs and our ability to serve our students. Setting some of this funding aside could reverse the budget shortfalls and limit the need for austerity in the midst of a public health crisis. So finally, I want to close by expressing the hope that these funds and the process for their distribution are just the beginning of a conversation that ends with more equitable access for all of University of Michigan students, no matter what campus they attend. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Labiba Quasi, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Labiba Khazi, and I'm treasurer of One University Student Organization at U of M Dearborn, as well as vice president of student government. And I have been working with multiple different groups, including the one Spiros mentioned. Today, I will be speaking about the allocated $20 million voted on at the July 6th special meeting. Dearborn received an allocation of $10 million for this year, but there are a lot of questions still left unanswered. Who will make the decisions regarding the use of that money? Will it be used for the reasons it was fought for? Is there going to be any transparency regarding its use? How will the university make sure that the funds are appropriately dealt with? Essentially, I want to stress the importance of transparency of the allocated funds. The university has shown time and time again that its priority is not the students, but the business. Recent events and actions by you all have shown this to be true. Right now, the university and administration needs to acknowledge a few things. Firstly, it was through the efforts of the One University campaign that this money was given to Dearborn and Flint. This was not something that the chancellors asked for or fought for. It took the campaign 2 years to even reach this point. Therefore, it is imperative that the funding goes to the demands that One U outlined in the proposal released in May by members of the One University Coalition. These demands include things like bringing the Go Blue Guarantee to Dearborn and Flint campuses and funding wraparound services and DEI initiatives, to name a few. It is incredibly important for administration to actively engage with the campaign in order to determine costs and work through specifics for how to implement these policies. At minimum, there should also be some sort of student platform for representative students to make and possibly vote on decisions regarding the allocated funding. This allows for oversight and lets students be the decision makers for funding that students and faculty fought for. Secondly, it needs to be acknowledged that the tuition spikes that were voted on are detrimental to students, especially at the Dearborn and Flint campuses, as compared to Ann Arbor. At the July 6th meeting, it was mentioned that the tuition increase would not affect families earning $120,000 or less. However, there was no mention made of the other two campuses. Statistically, a higher rate of Dearborn and Flint students deal with coming from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. In addition, they are facing the effects that COVID-19 has had on the economy. For students already at a financial disadvantage, a tuition hike only makes affordability challenges worse. Students especially shouldn't pay more while the programs that support them are taking cuts. Cuts across the Dearborn campus, especially Castle College of Arts, Sciences, and Letters, have meant lecture payoffs, pay freezes, reduced resources, and more. Students, as it is, have had to deal with a decline in help and resources, and these extra burdens only further fuel the disparities between campuses and students. Before I yield my time, I want to reiterate that it is imperative that students and the community are guaranteed transparency and input in the decision-making process. Students need support in accessing higher education, and it is in the power of the university to provide those services and support and use the allocated funds wisely. I highly encourage everyone present to read the One University proposal I previously mentioned. You can access it through the One University campaign's social media. Currently, the U of M Dearborn student government is working on ideas for the spending, and there will be updates in the next few weeks of our plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Chip Smith, who I understand may not have called in.
That's correct, Sally.
Chip Smith is not on. Okay, thank you. Okay, then I will turn to Kathleen Brown.
Yes, hello. My name is Kathleen Brown, and I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Michigan. Today, I'm going to be talking about creating a real culture of care at the University of Michigan. In June, the Office of Student Life released the Wolverine Culture of Care Pledge as part of the community's shared responsibility to limit the spread of COVID-19. The pledge calls on students to wash their hands, wear face masks, and practice social distancing on campus. Shared responsibility is evoked again and again in times of crisis, encouraging us all to pitch in. Yet despite this rhetoric of care, the university's actions demonstrate that it values its endowment over workers' and students' needs, causing hardship and harm. The university's decision to hold a residential semester puts workers in harm's way as the pandemic rages and no vaccine is available. And it is the university, despite its immense wealth and well-paid administrators, that socializes pain, forcing those of us with the least to give up the most. The university claims that it has no alternative but to fire workers, leaving workers with no income and no health care in the midst of a severe economic recession and public health crisis. For workers who do remain, they face reduced futures through frozen wages and research funds and an end to retirement matching. We need to be clear. These firings and cuts are not necessary. Unlike other institutions, Michigan has a large financial cushion to protect it from crisis in the form of $6.7 billion in unrestricted reserves. If the university believed in a real culture of care, it would immediately reverse layoffs and greatly expand employment. We need more lecturers and instructors to expand the number of low enrollment classes. We need more custodians to keep buildings clean and virus-free. We need more medical workers to set up a robust testing infrastructure. And we need more support staff to assist students struggling with homelessness, hunger, and mental health crises. And as the epidemic of racism limits and steals the lives of brown and black people, we need more resources to study and counter systemic racism. Despite UM's enforced scarcity that harms workers and students, there is a real culture of care, but it comes from below. I see it when emergency room workers pitch in and raise $60,000 after 38 emergency room technicians were laid off by Michigan Medicine. A real culture of care is when graduate workers fight to protect their international coworkers against ICE rulings, but also against the University of Michigan's discriminatory international fee. It is grads fighting for their fellow parent members to be able to use the child care subsidy. A real culture of care are students organizing to disarm and defund police. And it is students and lecturers fighting for equity along the One U campaign. If the university believed in a real culture of care, it would recognize how the pandemic has negatively affected us, and it would commit to mitigate these negative consequences. Otherwise, all talk of care
rings hollow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Our next speaker is Angel Adams Coraliza.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Angel Adames Coraliza. I am an assistant professor in the Department of Climate and Space Science and Engineering. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I am one of only a handful of Puerto Ricans to hold a faculty position in the geosciences in the US. For more than a decade, I've been involved in efforts to increase diversity in the geosciences. I've seen many successes, but also many failures. Among our more significant failures is our invisibility to the public. The reality is that academics rarely interact with the public in any meaningful way. As a result, many see scientists as out-of-touch people that spend their days working on esoteric subjects that are questionable societal value. Yet when I interact with fellow Latin Americans, I get a very different response. I often receive comments of enthusiasm and appreciation. I hear about how they didn't think people like them could be scientists. Their opinions change, and the information you provide to them becomes the most trustworthy information they can receive on a topic of expertise. In efforts to communicate science of meteorology and climate change to the public, I started a professional Facebook page and more recently developed a weekly podcast called Tiempo, Clima y Tierra, which brings Spanish-speaking guests to chat about contemporary topics in weather and climate. Amongst the topics that I've gotten the most requests to discuss is climate change. Such curiosity about the topic reveals the desire of many to understand our planet and our undisputable role in recent changes. Behind the facade of skepticism and mistrust, there is curiosity. People want to learn. Communication to the masses has never been so easy, yet it has never been so pressing, nor more important than what it is today. However, this communication can only be done effectively by individuals or groups that the community deems as trustworthy. The knowledge that our planet is warming has been clear for decades, yet it remains a topic of contention in this country. I believe that this is partly a failure of the scientific community to outreach and community to the public and policymakers. Additionally, our lack of representation has left underrepresented communities completely out of the conversation. These communities will also suffer the worst consequences of our collective ignorance. These people will also be crucial to enacting the systemic changes that will lead to a more sustainable living. Among U.S. universities, the University of Michigan is a leader in efforts to increase diversity. Yet the successes of these programs hide the depth of the university's failure to create a welcoming community for underrepresented groups, a failure that has been clearly exposed by recent societal events. We urgently need more diverse voices in our system. We need increased communication with underrepresented groups, and we need to value these efforts more highly than when it comes to granting tenure. I implore U of M to develop an employee program that communicates science to minorities, with climate change being one of the central topics of conversation. Climate justice in its most genuine form requires the active participation of all races, ethnicities, and cultures. It is our duty to ensure that people are empowered with the knowledge required to take the actions necessary to tackle one of the greatest problems in this century. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think our last speaker of the day is Annalitas Ochoa.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you very much.
Hello, yes. Thank you. My name is Annalitas Ochoa, and I am a current PhD candidate and Northwood resident. At the Northwood Graduate and Family Housing Apartments on North Campus, the facility sprays herbicides every spring and summer for weed control purposes. For years, residents have attempted to raise concerns surrounding the use of products such as Roundup and Ranger Pro, which have been linked to cancer and resulted in multi-billion-dollar losses. The community is particularly concerned about the spraying of herbicides because of the large number of children that reside and play in the public spaces that are regularly sprayed, often without proper notification to residents and inadequate labeling of the area sprayed. While residents have come together in the past to advocate against the use of herbicide and have succeeded temporarily to cease the spraying, we have found that spraying resumed in a following year without notice. This year, housing once again ignored our concerns surrounding the use of herbicide, and in June, my daughter was injured because she touched an area that had been sprayed but had not been labeled. My child experienced severe pain, burning, swelling, and itching on her hands for weeks due to this incident, all because housing refused to listen to our concerns. This infuriating situation is not isolated, but rather just one example of the systemic racism, bias, and injustice the Northwood community, a housing complex inhabited primarily by international students, students of color, and student parents, has endured for years. The Northwood community will no longer be silenced. The health and well-being of our residents depends on having housing administrators that are responsive to our concerns. These are our demands. The Northwood community demands a permanent ban on the spraying of herbicides and other chemical substances. This must be written into our housing contract to ensure longevity and prevent residents from having to organize around the issue every year. 2, the Northwood community demands a hall director and housing administration that is responsive to student concerns and supportive of the student community. The current hall director has repeatedly ignored resident concerns and failed to seek solutions to resolve important matters affecting the community. Given their inability to fulfill their role in supporting Northwood's diverse needs, we demand a removal of leaders who have not been responsive. 3, the Northwood community demands to be stakeholders in the decision-making process. We currently have no say in the policies and actions that impact Northwood residents. We demand the establishment of a committee of paid resident representatives that can influence decisions impacting Northwood residents. 4, my family demands a public apology from housing for neglecting student concerns for years and for the lack of communication that has resulted in activities that are dangerous to the community, such as the spraying of herbicide, to occur without residents' awareness. And 5, my family demands compensation for the injury incurred by our child for the negligent use of herbicide after we and other residents attempted to raise the issue over several years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I just want to say on behalf of the Board of Regents, I want to thank all of the speakers and continue to encourage all of you to come and share with us your opinions, your thoughts, your stories. We appreciate it very much. We all have public emails. Please feel free to email us or Vice President Churchill with any thoughts or comments. So thank you very, very much for your comments today. We take them seriously and we listen to everything that you say.
I'd like to add to that you know, we also look into many of the things that have been mentioned, and so we'll do so and have the appropriate follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and my own thanks to all the speakers today. And I'll reiterate what Regent Diggs said. We do track these comments, and for example, the most recent one, and we will make a list and we'll work through them and try to understand them. So we really do appreciate you taking the time and showing up and telling us about your concerns. Thank you all very much. I wish everybody good health and safety in these very challenging times. I hope to see you when we reconvene in September. Thank you all very much. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.